Kong is in technical recession. That's according to financial data released by the government on Friday. This is the first time in 10 years that the region has fallen into that category. The news underlines the level of damage the financial hub has suffered as a result of continuous unrest. But how will this impact the ordinary people of Hong Kong, and what is the mid to long-term outlook for Hong Kong's economy? Joining me for the discussion is here in the Beijing studio, Einar Tangen, a current affairs commentator, and still from Hong Kong, Lawrence Ma, barrister and chairman of Hong Kong Legal Exchange Foundation. Gentlemen, thank you very much for being with us. Now, as I said, the economy shrank 3.2% in the July-September period compared to the previous year. It was also down 2.9% from the same period last year. So, Einar, are you surprised by this news, or was it to be expected amid the ongoing crisis that Hong Kong is going through?
Well, actually, it's surprising that it's this mild. I think underlying this is even more serious concerns about the future of Hong Kong. You cannot have this kind of things. I mean, 2018, 16.8 million people came to Hong Kong. That's now down 40%. And this is the real tragedy here, because it's not, there are plenty of jobs and money in the financial sector and all the areas there, but the regular Hong Kong people, the people who worked in the restaurants, who do the trades, the concessions, the retail, they are the ones who are being hit by this.
Lawrence, from your observation, how bad is it really for the economy, or maybe only certain sectors are particularly hit, just like the feelings of some people towards the unrest? If you avoid certain streets or street corners, you probably don't feel anything wrong. Is that also the case with the economy?
Well, the problem with the Hong Kong economy is not that much with the financial sectors or legal profession or the professional services sector. What it really impacts is the Joe Blow on the street. For example, those are, as I said, in the retail industry, in the hotelier industry, in the other industries that depends on tourists, the tourist industry. Yeah, exactly. So I mean, those industries are really employ a lot of people and manpower to in their workforce. And nowadays, these workforce have been gradually and significantly cut down because of the closure of a lot of restaurants. There's a main line of restaurant, the Maxim's line, has closed down. The Dairy Farm line restaurant has closed down. That goes to 100 of restaurants. That is, it belong to a group. There are other smaller restaurants that's been closed down. Also, the retail stores are closed down. So, Hong Kong is going to face massive unemployment in that lower for the general public, not much for professionals, but for the general public. So Hong Kong will see, I suspect, will see a second time of a very serious recession coming up next year in 2020.
All right, I was going to ask this question. So, Einar, how much are we away from a full-blown recession if the situation doesn't improve for the better anytime soon? How resilient is the Hong Kong economy to hold up until things get better?
Well, that's a real question. It's going to take a lot of effort from the mainland in order to prop up the Hong Kong government, the economy over this period. I mean, things are very serious, and I would disagree a little bit about this idea that finance and law are not, the professions are not going to be hurt by this. Many of the people that I know are not holding their board meetings in Hong Kong. There's a reason that they won't go there. There's a reason that the five-star hotels have the lowest occupancy they've had even before SARS. This is a situation where everyone is avoiding it. No one is going there. And
some people are actually, I'm sorry, but some people are actually arguing that Hong Kong is still a very good proxy for Chinese assets. For instance, they argue that the territory's free capital outflow structure is still there, that the legal framework and the tax system are still there, and that there is really no legitimate alternative in the region for the moment. Einar, what is your take for that?
Well, I would disagree. There are always alternatives, and the issue is that Hong Kong was traditionally a safe place. It was much like Singapore in the sense that you could live there. It was an interesting life, vibrant, nannies galore. I mean, you only have to go there on a Sunday and see, the tens of thousands of nannies who line the streets on their day off to understand just how there are two Hong Kongs. And I think this is what Lawrence was referring to earlier. There's the people who work for all the people who are coming, and then the ones who are really reaping the benefits in the financial sector. And I think they will be affected. People will not live there. If they don't live there, they will take their business somewhere else, and there are alternatives.
So although it might look for some sector business as usual, but the days are being numbered. Lawrence, if you want to jump on that, you can continue. But I'm going to move to the causes, possible causes of the situation. Some people are actually saying it's not just because of the political turmoil, maybe a little bit from the political turmoil, but also the trade war with the United States that Hong Kong is experiencing this difficulty. But not to forget, the economy grew 3% last year, 3.8% the year before last, and this year is expected to shrink by 1.3%. Lawrence.
Well, I think the people are, as Alan said, I agree with him that the business stopped coming from to Hong Kong. Some corporates has moved their headquarters from Hong Kong to Singapore or other places in the region. So that impacts a lot on Hong Kong. And also there is this listing process. I mean, of course, Alibaba is going to be listed in Hong Kong, but that's the only one. But because there are so many companies that are going to be listed, stop their listing process in Hong Kong from the mainland China, these mainland companies. So that affects a lot of IPOs in Hong Kong. That in the profession we feel it, the accountants feel it, the lawyers feel it. The IPO process for this last 1 year or so has stopped.
All right, so midterm to longer term, these consequences will start to show even more. So is this what the protesters and what the people, the political forces behind these protesters have wanted to see all along? That first of all, either they don't care about what's the economic fallout from this unrest, or maybe when they say perish together, this is exactly what they're looking for, an economic disaster in Hong Kong. Einar.
Well, it's economic suicide. I don't know how else you can put it. I mean, their defiance, this kind of making the streets of Hong Kong into this kind of battle zone, can have no other effect than to deter people.
But
this
is that what their
what
their intention has been?
You're talking about this as if it's a rational process. When
that
you
they
have
want
a
to
mob,
destroy the image and the economy of Hong Kong. Is that element there?
Absolutely, and that's why I call it a suicide mission. This is a group of people who are fueled by their own anger. And, how else can you justify, hitting an old man with a brick and killing him, stabbing people, this kind of throwing Molotov cocktails at policemen? These policemen are from Hong Kong. This is absolutely unbelievable that even, the Western press is countenancing this as some sort of freedom fight. They're not going anywhere.
Lawrence, what's your take on this situation? I mean, maybe some people, the political forces that are behind this unrest, are riots. They believe this is an unfortunate consequence of their political struggle, or maybe this is exactly the kind of aim they want to achieve: complete chaos in Hong Kong, because what they advocate clearly is perish together.
Well, rumors has it that the American interests, as well as their proxies, has brought up a lot of warrants, so that to short sell into Hong Kong's deterring economy. So whenever there's a riot, the Hong Kong stock market plummeted, and they gain from those selling of the warrants. So. And they've actually pumped funds to support the protesters, to supply them with a lot of equipment and all this, so that Hong Kong will eventually end up in a turmoil at their control.
So So you're talking about actually a different level of things, right? Because we've heard of these kind of theories. Unfortunately, I haven't seen anything to substantiate that kind of conspiracy theory. For sure, there are people who are providing financial support, and it's also confirmed by some members of the Hong Kong SAR government. They're saying clearly there must be people who are providing funding to these, who are, you know, enabling the riots. But on the other hand, whether what we're seeing in the Hong Kong economy is some kind of calculated outcome from the outside, from capitalists in other countries to take advantage of the bloodline of Hong Kong. Einar, is that, what do you see?
Well, unfortunately, what I see is in the U.S. House of Representatives and Senate, a bill is advancing that is actually going to threaten to take away Hong Kong's very special economic status. Now, this is within the rights of the United States, and they're basing it on this unrest. Here's the irony, right? These people are causing the U.S. to take away the very lifeblood of Hong Kong. Without these advantages, many American companies will steer shy of Hong Kong. They will go other places. So this is not helping it. This is a PR war being waged, and these kids are being used cynically.
Exactly. I mean, for the Western companies, for the British companies, for the American companies, when Hong Kong's economy go bust, will these companies benefit from it? I mean, the many who are in Hong Kong, who have invested in Hong Kong for decades, if not, you know, over 100 years. Lawrence.
Yes, you're right. I think the American Chamber of Commerce has, if not openly, privately has rejected or lobby for the bill not to be passed, which is the Hong Kong Democracy Act, the U.S. Hong Kong Democracy Act, which was now being hotlined to the Congress in America. And it was set to be passed in these 2 days. So, I mean, it definitely, the local American interests and British and Western interests do not see the need of this being helpful, and it would definitely harm Hong Kong and American interest.
What are the wiggling room for the SAR government to do anything about the situation? Because they are saying because the Hong Kong dollar is kind of pegged to the US dollar, so the resources available to the Hong Kong government is kind of limited. Einar, your take on this?
Well, they're going to have to turn to the mainland. You know, as people, maybe people don't know that Hong Kong does not pay a penny to mainland China in taxes. It's the other way around. The mainland has been constantly subsidizing Hong Kong and the efforts there. So at this point, Hong Kong will, I mean, have to turn to Beijing and say, look, you've got to help us weather through this, and hopefully we can make something out of it.
Lawrence, your take on whether the central government could do something to help shore up the economy of Hong Kong if things really go bad?
The Chinese government has been helping Hong Kong for a long time, since the 2003 SARS recession in Hong Kong. There's this policy which allow Chinese residents to come here to do their shopping and purchases, which really improves the Hong Kong economy. And the IPOs of companies actually improves the Hong Kong markets. So I would hope that the Chinese government will continue to support Hong Kong after this turmoil.
Okay, let's wait and see. Hopefully more things will be done to help bring the violence under control. Many thanks to my guests, Einar Tangen here in Beijing and Lawrence Ma joining us from Hong Kong. And with that, we come to the end of this edition of The Point with me, Liu Xin. As always, you can follow me on Facebook and Twitter using the handle The Point with Alex. Thanks for watching. You've got The Point.